Welcome to People. I'm Shirley Lin, and today I'm here at the studio which belongs to Tim Budden, who is a paper cutting artist from Wales, the UK, and he's been here in Taiwan 25 years. Now, if you don't know what paper cutting is, just look at this thing right behind us. This is what paper cutting is, the Chinese way. Anyway, hi Tim.
Hi Shirley.
All right, yeah, you were explaining to me that in Western countries, if you say you're into paper cutting, it would be people working with paper, but you are not that. You're a paper cutting artist, and we're talking about artist as in paper cutting something like this. So I hope you guys get the idea. Now, it's a very intricate, a beautiful, elegant, romantic kind of art. That's how I see it. But let's go way back. I mean, why are you here? Well, no, why are you into paper cutting?
Why am I into paper cutting?
Yeah,
okay.
How did that get started?
Well,
that's not what you studied.
No, actually, I went to art school. I did my master's in sculpture, and so sculpture is a very important element. So the idea of sculpture is that you start with something like a piece of stone or a piece of wood or whatever it is, and then you cut and take away. You cut and take away until you reveal a head or something you're trying to carve. And paper cutting is exactly the same, except I'm using a knife and paper. I'm cutting and I'm taking away, I'm cutting and I'm taking away, and there I have my image, which is the opposite of when we're drawing, because we're drawing, we're always adding something. I'm adding a line, I'm adding a shade, I'm adding a color, whatever.
Right.
So, okay, so we've got sculpture. Then a lot of my paper cutting, I like to tell stories.
All right, Tim, you said you got to explain something about this one right here. It's all red and it's just got pictures of boys, little Chinese boys in here.
Yeah, well, it's the boys are a combination of my son and myself. And my son has this secret dance. So he likes to close his bedroom door and do his secret dancing.
Oh, really?
And it's his way of dealing with his life, his day.
Did you ever see this dance then?
Oh yeah, he's
all right.
pushing. It's very secretive, and so anyway, so I like the idea of these little boys dancing around. And in this, the story is very clear. There's 101, and several years ago, when they were building 101, Songshan Airport said 101 is too tall. And it's going to affect the planes. Okay. They're going to hit it. So I had this idea of my little dancing boy on a scooter, and he's crashing into 101, and he's saying, oops. His friends think it's so cool that this has happened. So they're all going, wow, and doing their kind of street dancing. So all this is happening. So it's a kind of crazy, chaotic crash, bang, help. All this is going on. Meanwhile, there's a plane flying across the sky straight towards 101.
I see it. Vroom.
Yeah, vroom.
Oh, now I see the plane. Yeah. Oh, now I see the plane. Where are you in this?
Where am I? I'm probably this one here.
9-year-old.
Yeah.
Back when you were 9-year-old.
That's probably me. And at the same time, I have a row of cockroaches.
Oh, cockroaches?
Yeah, cockroaches. Because cockroaches are kind of with us here in this place, because this is about Taipei.
Right.
They're with us, they're around all the time. And in the sky we have the cloud and the sun. So we have this kind of heaven and the earth and kind of we're somewhere in between.
So you started with sculpturing.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite medium back then? Was it stone or was it wood? Or
it was polystyrene.
Polystyrene?
You know the packing you get in when you get a TV?
Styrofoam?
Like styrofoam, yeah. Because, I had another job at the time, and that was working in a big theatre, big opera company in Wales. The biggest opera company, the national.
You were doing the props.
I was making the props, and we would use huge pieces of styrofoam. And then carve them into rocks or carve them into parts of trees or parts of buildings or parts of a ship, that kind of thing.
You've got big hands.
I have big hands. I come
big-
from a farming family, so
Yeah.
my uncles have enormous hands.
Actually, when it comes to something as intricate as this, are big hands an advantage or disadvantage? I don't know. Or smaller hands with thinner fingers is a better.
I've never thought about that. I've never thought. I mean, it means I can be very dexterous. I can use. I mean, I'm very good at using the knife in a very kind of, like I'm drawing, but I'm using a knife.
Yeah.
So I need to be able to move in that kind of very fine way.
You've got thin fingers.
Yeah.
You've got big hands, but thin
That's right.
fingers.
Yes.
So, did your parents discover that you've got this talent, or you just had this hobby of working with little things and cutting things and carving things? What do you remember from your childhood?
Okay, well, the thing is, I think the biggest memory I have is I remember being in school when I was very young, when I was 9 years old, and I remember one day drawing a tree. The project, we were all drawing trees, and for some reason, I can't remember what, but the teacher saw my tree and said it was the most beautiful tree she'd ever seen. Okay. At that moment, I thought to myself, I'm going to be an artist.
Really?
That's
At
my
9
life
years
goal.
old?
Yeah. It just was just a light bulb. And I have a stubborn streak in me. So from then on, everything I did was to go towards art. And my original goal was to become an art lecturer in a university. But because of the economic situation at the time, that wasn't possible. So that's when I moved into the theatre, started working in the theatre, and then eventually came here.
Did you ever try acting? Just a side question here.
You know, I'm very bad at that. I'm very natural as a teacher, I think, when I do my teaching, and but if I'm acting, when I have to think about the actual act of acting, I'm terrible. I'm useless.
Oh, well, but you never gave it a try.
I did. I had several screen tests, lots of screen tests,
Yeah,
but I
because-
just freeze.
Really?
Yeah, I just freeze. I have no idea what to do.
Well, you're just better off stage then, backstage, and
Yes.
and doing the, I don't know, your part is very important too to a stage play. I mean, the props. Then, how many years were you working in that with stage props and?
Only about 2.5, 3 years.
Okay, and then
Then
what
I came here.
Then you came here.
Yeah.
No, but what brought you here? And why?
It's
Was
okay.
it an angel in your life? A saint?
No, it wasn't an
No?
angel. It was my father.
Okay.
My father was in business here, and my brother and I used to come and visit a few times. And then one time I came with a friend, and we went traveling through Malaysia and Thailand, and eventually ended up in Taiwan. And then I decided I was going to stay a little bit longer. I wasn't going to go back. So I decided to stay a little bit longer. My friend went back, and because I could stay with my father.
Yeah.
And then I met a Taiwanese girl. So you know how one thing leads to another. And so that, it was, to start with, it was a month's vacation.
Okay.
And then that went to, okay, I'll stay for 6 months. But then I needed money to survive. So then I started working here, teaching English.
Okay.
And then, surprisingly enough, I got very, very into teaching. And I began to really love the idea of being in the classroom. So I stayed longer, and it just, like that, it just went on and on and on, and I'm still here.
Yeah. But how's this Chinese paper cutting got into your life?
Oh, right. Well, okay. So when I came here and I got very into the teaching, the downside of that was I pushed my art to one side and just focused on the teaching.
Oh, so you were at the time, kind of during your spare time, and as a hobby, you were already playing around with paper cutting.
No, I wasn't. I found there was nothing here that I could connect my art to. In the UK, what I realize now is that my art was very connected into the culture of that place and at that time.
Okay.
When I came to Taiwan, everything was wow. Everything was
New,
alien to me. The bright neon lights, the people, the food, the nightlife.
I'm surprised you mentioned bright neon lights.
Well, at that time, it all was. Linsem Beilu with just this amazing road just full of neon lights.
I know, the signs were all neon lights.
Absolutely,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And so because there was nothing for my art to feed on here, I stopped.
You thought.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, and focused on the teaching. What I realize now is that we all have this kind of creative energy within us. And my creative energy at that time moved from my art into the art of teaching. So I got very into that, and I also became an author of textbooks.
Oh, really?
And
good.
I became a teacher trainer, so I was training teachers.
But wait a minute. What about the cartoon drawing part? When did that fit in?
Well, that was when I was working at the opera. On the side, I was doing cartoon strips, which were published in the UK and in Europe.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay.
So,
anyway,
yeah.
So then you were so into teaching and everything, and then...
Well, after about 10, 12, maybe longer, 15 years of teaching...
that long?
Yeah, I began to get burnt out. And I began to get bored. And that began to worry me because I have a family. And then I realized I needed to do something. And at that point, I realized that little boy at 9 years old was still there. And he was saying, Tim, you decided to be an artist. That's what you need to do.
Okay.
So I quit my job and I went back to my art. And it just so happened that around that time, a very good friend showed me a book of paper cutting from mainland China. As soon as I saw those paper cuts, I knew that's where I need to go.
Yeah.
Because A, it contained stories, B, it's cutting, carving, and instantly I had a connection. I mean, for many, many years, I've been very interested in the kind of folk arts here, the visiting temples and puppets. I love puppets, and I've been collecting old temple gods and old puppets.
Yeah.
Just because I just find them as beautiful objects. Lanterns, and all these things have been there in my mind all the years, and I just needed a way to find a focus where I could bring it all out.
Right.
And so then as soon as I discovered paper cutting, and then the same person introduced me to this kind of material.
Right, which is actually more like silk.
It's a silk, yeah. One side is paper,
one side is paper
and one side is silk. So that's a great combination because the paper makes it stiff and the silk makes it very strong.
Right.
So it's a perfect combination, and you get this beautiful sheen, the shiny sheen of silk.
Right.
So it was the same person who introduced me to that, and that was it. I just started and I couldn't stop.
Well, do you have your very first piece that you did? I mean, this kind of paper cutting here in the studio?
No, I don't have it here.
Okay. But what was that about?
It was a face. It was a face. I think it was supposed to be my face.
Okay.
At that time, I wasn't very happy because I was burnt out.
Yeah.
And I was finding my life. I was kind of getting bored with what I was doing.
So you're saying it was a sad face?
No, it wasn't a sad face. It was a face full of energy.
Okay.
Yeah. It
you
was
want to get there.
Right. It's that creative energy looking for somewhere to go.
Wow.
And because I was burnt out with the teaching, it needed to go somewhere. Okay. And so when it came out into the paper cutting, the first pieces I made were all to do with heads and faces, but full of energy.
Oh, wow. So then you started putting these artwork on a blog. You started a blog. Is that how it happened? Because then people start discovering you. You didn't go around telling people, hey, this is what I do. You know, come to me.
Well, gosh, it's going back.
Yes, go back. I'm just fascinated.
There was at that time there was a group of expat artists based in Tiamu, some from the American school and some from the foreign community there, who would meet regularly, and so I joined that group.
Okay.
And then we started exhibiting around, and that's how it started.
So you guys held exhibits of your personal works.
Yes.
Okay. At like American school, at the carnivals and.
Well, it was mostly restaurants.
Restaurants.
Yes.
Now that's a very interesting idea.
It's a very interesting idea, but it's not a good idea for an artist.
Oh, why is that?
Because people go to a restaurant to eat.
Yes, that's true.
No, you know, when they go there, they go there with whoever they're going with, and they go in and they sit down, they look at the menu, then they chat, they talk, and then the food comes, then they eat.
Yeah.
And then it's only when they get to the coffee at the end that they might,
look around.
They might look around and go, oh, that looks interesting, but okay, it's time to go now.
Oh.
So I found that experience a little bit disappointing, you know, because you put your soul and your heart and your energy into making artworks, and then people don't notice them. It's like wallpaper.
I see.
So that was a little bit